we received the call to assist in city departments in regards to animal hoarding situation. Really, the hoarding is not about so much about the animals; it's more about what's going on in their lifestyle, and the animals are involved. The animals are healthy, as you will see, and just need to be trapped because we can't see the animals at this time. Left. Nothing right there? Okay. Okay.
I didn't see one over there, but... Not one. No, there's nothing here.
Okay. Having the amount of animals, we've been told anywhere between 12 to 15. There is an ordinance about how many animals you're allowed to have on a property. So in a situation like this, if the animal is being cared for and the situation was different with the clutter, you know, it's a fine line how many animals someone can have. But again, in this situation, it's definitely depending on the property and the footage, they only allowed so many, like one animal per 1,000 square feet of property. And after that is every 1,000 is another animal. So it all depends on the property footage.
I actually have to go that way. Did he bring? Somehow we got the blanket. Here, this blanket is stuck in it. It's stuck to his. It's alright. You're okay. Okay.
One of the reasons we put a towel on it is just so the cat can relax a little bit and it's not freaking out, but as you can see, this is like dangerous kind of work because of the amount of clutter and what we're having to go through, and climbing things and walking through, and the pathway is so short and so small that you really got to go slow, and it's a tedious job. But you know, this is a danger for the fire department if they were to come in here. If this house caught on fire, and a danger to the folks that live in here, a health issue. The person can be charged with animal cruelty. A lot of times we just hope the person gets the help they need. We're working with the person here to make sure they get the help they need, be it through social services, be it through Coastline Elderly. The city, the health department is helping them out, working with them to get this place back into shape where they can hopefully live happily. And if it means, these cats are the world to them. Unfortunately, looking at these situations, you would think, oh my God, these people don't like their animals. They love their animals. They care so much for the animals. This is part of their life. The other thing too is if you look around, when we first came in here, there was cat food everywhere. There was cat treats. There's cat houses. If you look, you'll find all kind of cat houses and scratch poles for these animals. These animals are being well cared for. It's just unfortunately the situation that life has taken on this family. Hold on, chill. We set up some traps. We've been here for a couple days now. This is our second day here. Actually, our third day. I was here the night, Wednesday night when the call first came in, and then we had to get this stuff. We'll grab that one.
You want to take this one out?
Yeah.
Or you want me to crawl in there first and then bring them, and then we can just do.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna crawl over there too.
Go ahead.
Crawl in here first.
Yeah.
Can I have a towel?
Sure. So we got 5 today, Shelly? 6 and the 4 yesterday? Which one's the transfer cage? This the transfer cage? Yeah, good. Because we're going to be using these traps again, we have this little thing here which we call a transfer cage, and what we do is we put it next to the door of the trap that we're using, and we move the cat from one to the other. Come on, it's okay, buddy. Come on. Yeah, cover the transfer cage. What we do when we cover the transfer cage makes it a dark little hole, and they seem to go in, as you see right now, change.
Put your tail in. There you go.
There you go. All right, and then the cat's in here. So by putting a towel on it, it gives it a little dark space for the cat, and he feels more secure, and he'll go to it. This is all about making the animal comfortable. For the other one, yeah, and it's about keeping these animals comfortable. I can't say that they've been through a lot, because they haven't, even though the situations are bad inside the house. these animals, again, I'm stressing that these animals have been cared for. The only thing we have here is unsanitary conditions for these animals due to some of the litter boxes being over full. But there's a lot of other clean litter boxes in here. So we're here to help the animals out, and also the family, because we're taking a lot away from this family by taking these animals out of their life. Now, because we're going to need this transfer cage to take it from the other traps, it becomes a little easier to do this. So what we're doing here, because there's a little hole here, I want to make sure it's covered so he doesn't see a way out. And what I'm going to do, put this animal here, let this up, okay? Come on, buddy. Come on, it's okay. Come on, come on. It's okay. Go ahead. Come on.
You get turned around.
Okay. So now by doing this, the animal's inside there, and you gotta really work. So now we can use this for another animal. So we'll take this cage here, and we're just gonna do the same thing because we need these traps to set them up again. We were told there's about 12 cats in this house. So we have 6 today, 4 yesterday with 10. So there's probably 2 more out there that they, again, as you can see, this make it a little darker for them. It's okay, buddy, come on. There you go. Got this one. And then because we need this transfer cage, what we'll do is the last cat, we'll just leave it in the transfer cage. But for now, come on, make this easy on me. Come on.
Can you get that towel?
And it goes in. And again, working together, you just flip it up. And now we'll just take this out and close it. We have now successfully done this. So it sounds like with the numbers that we've been told, how many cats are here, and the numbers that we've gotten so far, we might be here for another day or 2. The person that lives here, both of them are in the hospital, and what we're doing now is we have a family member that's given us access to go in the house and get the cats removed. Again, it's like this is an illness. This comes from just, weeks and years of buying stuff, and you can see a lot of these things that were packaged, they have never been removed or opened. But again, I just can't stress enough. If you need assistance with something like this, you need help, reach out to the health department, reach out to the health board of health, the building, reach out to animal control, reach out to your doctor for help. With the cat condos, you can see all the cat condos. They have all the cat toys, cat beds, more cat stuff, water. brushes. They really, really took well care of these cats. It's an unfortunate situation. Animal hoarding is not just a animal problem, it's also a people problem. And I'm here with Alan Bogle from the Animal Rescue of Boston's Law Enforcement Department. Alan, you've been around for quite a while. Your experience in dealing across the state of Massachusetts. What have you seen way back then with hoarding and where we are today?
Well, I've been at the Animal Rescue for 44 years, so we've seen all sorts of hoarding cases. And my first case was in 1979. There was a guy named Charlie McCarthy in Boston that had 120 dogs between two houses. And he was claiming to rescue them. He was actually hoarding these dogs and not providing good veterinary care. And they were actually getting into fights and killing each other. So it was one of the first cases we ever had. So hoarding cases, people didn't know how to deal with them. With legislative efforts from Animal Control Association, Animal Rescue League, MSPCA, what's good is that we changed the laws. Particularly what was real important was the unsanitary conditions was a crime. And that did start to help with hoarding cases.
Alan, do you see that hoarding cases, is it folks, people trying to do the right thing? Are there breeders? Are they people that just love animals and they think that no one can care for those animals?
I think there's an affinity for some of these animals and they get too many. And I think, Manny, you and I see the person that starts out with 10 cats and next thing they're not spayed and neutered and they end up with 50. Yep. So, and then the interesting thing is we have people call us all the time and they turn themselves in. They say, I've got 30, 40 cats and they're not spayed and neutered and I need help. I can't care for these cats anymore. So we do see the hoarders that are self-reporting. There's clutter hoarders. You can have 4 or 5 cats and do tremendous damage to your home. And then we see, the 169, there was a case in Rochester with that many cats. These people had a great history of loving animals and just got completely overwhelmed within a 2-year period. So the good things we're seeing is academics got involved in this, the Tufts Hoarding Consortium, and Dr. Gary Petronic and different people. The Animal Rescue League now, we have a woman named Eileen Dacey that actually is up in the North Shore, but she is actually a volunteer for the Animal Rescue League, and she's helping us counsel some of these people. So we do go in to these cases, and we've worked with Manny on some of these cases, open-minded, that there's a lot of self-neglect. So we do realize quickly when we go in that as animal professionals, we want to get the animals taken care of first, but if we don't fix the person, and Manny and I have seen this for years, if we don't fix the person, they're repeat offenders.
So Alan, where do they get these animals from? I mean, they obviously get them from either strays or are they picking them up on the road or?
All different sources. We had this gentleman in Taunton. We got him down to 6 cats and he does pizza delivery and people know he likes cats and they give him cats. And he doesn't get them spayed and neutered. Next thing you know, they breed and with less than another year, he was back at another 40 cats.
It's scary because a lot of times we deal with these people, they're in their 50s or in their 60s and they're only getting older, and when they have 30 cats and they still think they can keep up with those animals, and as they get older, things become sick and these animals need more care and they end up getting sick themselves, and a lot of times they don't have that care.
Well, the houses deteriorate first, and when you have this extreme cold weather, you get pipes that burst. So most of the time, towns get a call that, and particularly a lot of people over 50, but people that are elderly also, they need services, and they go in and they find the animals too. So they find the clutter, the animals, a lot of self-neglect. Families start to kind of shut down. They feel they can't help their families. The Tufts Hoarding Consortium was really good. We direct people, their family members, so they can know how to deal with their relatives. So when you and I come in, we're kind of regulatory people. You're an animal control officer, I'm a humane officer. We go in and I think people think that we're a threat to them, but we're actually trying to help them. Mm-hmm. And more you see that we're trying to go in and get these people fixed. But if you don't get them the social services they need, they don't get fixed, and they start over again.
And is it animal cruelty I mean, we go in there, when you go in there, is it with the mindset that you're going to charge these people? At one time it was like that, and everybody just wants to charge everybody for, you know, being either cruel to the animal or not getting necessities these animals need. You see a big difference now?
Well, hoarding is now considered a mental illness, so when you're going in, you're documenting as a neglect or animal cruelty case, obviously, because you will have people that are not cooperative. But what we're finding is working with the relatives and working with elderly affairs and DCF and stuff, that we're actually getting people help, and they're turning around, and we want to fix them. That's if you don't fix them, they repeat. And but we do truly have hoarders that is part of greed, and they're breeders, and they get overwhelmed, and it's all about the money, and we may end up going there for a legal kennel operation, and you find extreme cruelty, and lots of those people are criminally charged.
So it's very important to work with social services, the elderly services, and trying to get them help. And like you said, if you can charge them, and a lot of times these animals, these people will just get either a slap on the wrist because of the courts find it that it's a mental issue going on, and that they actually need some assistance. That's another, as I call it, a tool in our toolbox that we can use that if we have to bring them to court to get them the mental help that they need. But now, how does that work? You know, you've had a great case out in Norfolk County, I believe, and that's coming out really
Plymouth
County.
Yes. Well, that's somebody that wanted help, and whatever we told this gentleman, he went and got help. The animal control officer was key to supporting him. He now is actually going to the animal control center Monday through Friday under supervision, and he's actually cleaning. So he's cleaning up the kennels, and he loves it. So he's still involved with animals, and he knows that he had too many animals. And so it's amazing. And he spent 10 hours cleaning his own house. We got a lot of help, but and all sorts of social services came in, and my brother's keeper from Brockton got him furniture, and his oil burner is going in this week, and he'll be back in the house. That's a house that I thought would have to be torn down, and making that person, making that person homeless is would be very cruel to him too. But amazing in this particular case, all the animals were really socialized, and a lot of vet care. So we don't normally see that. We usually see lack of vet care. In particular, Manny will tell you, we get a lot of animals in that have really poor dental care. So they don't get dental care for themselves, but they can't afford it for their animals. Dental care is very expensive in the veterinary field. So what's sad about hoarding is you can have 5 cats and a lot of clutter, and you can be a hoarder. 5 cats can do, if they're not spayed and neutered, and particularly intact males and females, they're spraying everywhere. You get a lot of damage with urine and feces, and what amazes us, though, I think we always find the bathroom and the kitchens to be the filthiest part of the house, which should be the cleanest part of the house for the person. So, and
I find too, it's, and I'm pretty sure you're finding the same thing, is a lot of times we go into these cases and they're giving their own food, they rather feed their animals versus themselves, and they're actually jeopardizing their health and because of their animals. So it's not so much that they don't care about the animals, they really do. It's that mental aspect of like those animals need to be fed and cared for. So I mean, it's really you know, sometimes families don't like to tell on their family members that this is going on, but as you said in the past, it was, you know, going in there with and charging people, and now it's more of like the assistance that we're here to help you, help you with caring for those animals, or bring them down to a certain situation where I know I've working with you a lot of times that we work with someone that might have 20-something cats, bring them down to maybe 4 or 5 spayed and neutered, and let those animals live there, because again, they will just go out there and get more animals. If, you know, a lot of times we just pack up and leave and go back there and check maybe next time we have a call, and they were right back to where they were. So it's nice to kind of keep them on a short leash.
I mean, I think the most tragic case I saw was in, State Trooper lived up the street actually. always was suspicious about the house in Halifax, but the town had to burn the house down. It was rodent infested. There were about 35 dogs in there, one cat. I don't know how the cat survived, but total feces. And the plumbing hadn't worked for maybe 20 years. And so you can find, and Manny and I found these things, you can find some very tragic experiences in hoarding and clutter hoarding, where the animals are really, there's no place for them to, sit, turn around, make any normal possible adjustments, where they're not in the same filth as the people that are living in the house. And that's very tragic that in this society that they're so hidden from society, but they get to a point where they just can't get out of their self-neglect, and it starts to affect the animals. So,
and a lot of times we go in and all you see is just that pattern of like, a way to their room, a way to the kitchen, a way to upstairs, just that like a little hallway with clutter everywhere. Right. And in a lot of situations, like they're either buying a lot of stuff and it's still in the same bag. We find homes with a lot of cleaning supplies and that's just never been touched. It's almost like they wanted to clean and never got around to it. And now with, and you were a big part of it, changing the laws where it's mandatory for animal control officers with elderly abuse, child abuse, and also handicap abuse to report. So we're now mandated reporters, even though, working for the police department, we always did anyway, we always reached out. And if nothing comes of it, at least those special agencies can come in and work with them and do their best to help that situation.
We all partner with each other, particularly animal control, humane societies, all DCF, elderly affairs. It is interesting though. I don't think that elderly affairs, they start focusing on the person, but we end up with a lot of animals, and they're compromised, they're medically compromised, and they've been neglected for years, and it's very expensive to turn these animals around so they get adopted. So, and a lot of them are behaviorally damaged, and because they're under socialized and very difficult. So we do a great job. The case in Plymouth County, just a few animals had to be euthanized, very older animals that just had a lot of problems, but everything else was adopted. So it's almost at 100% that we're able to turn these animals around when we can. So
we end up taking almost 260 animals
268
from 268 out of that house.
There were a lot of mice and rats, and the person had reptiles. So, and they did have a small business where they sold mice and rats for food for reptiles. So, but it got out of hand, as you know.
And that's why, I mean, we as New Bedford Animal Control, it's a pleasure always working with the Animal Rescue League of Boston. We really couldn't do it without the assistance of an organization like the Animal Rescue League of Boston. When we have a big case or a small case, just the expertise that we get from yourself and your department, it's I say it a lot of times, we're lucky to have in Massachusetts an organization like the Animal Rescue League of Boston, someone like you, Alan, with all the expertise and your training, and you're a real mentor just for myself and a lot of other animal control officers in this state. We have learned so much from you and your organization, and I just want to personally say thank you so much. And again, hoarding is not just an animal problem, it's a people problem, it's a community problem, and we need to try to work together and take care of this problem. So not just the animals suffer, the people will also suffer. Thank you for watching the show.
Thank you.